Hey, this is Angie. I'm from the Country Bookshop in Southern Pines, North Carolina, and I'm here today to introduce our last two authors. The final team we have is Elly Kramer and Laura Brown, and they're the authors of the delightful new Trillium Sisters chapter book series. These two authors are absolute rock stars in the world of children's television and quality educational content. Laura has a resume that'll make any elementary teacher or kids bookseller swoon. She's considered an early childhood expert. She's collaborated with Nick Jr., Disney Jr., DreamWorks, PBS Kids, and Universal Kids to produce high quality educational content. And Ellie has made a career of producing engaging, compelling, and creative content for young audiences. She's a vice president of production and development with Nickelodeon. And she's worked with a few shows we all know, including some unknown things called Blue's Clues, Dora the Explorer, Shimmer and Shine, Bubble Guppies, and Corn and Peg. Their new chapter book series, which comes out in June, is the, oh, there we go. Oh, that's backwards. You get the gist. The Trillium Sisters. And the first book is called The Triplets Get Charmed. It features three girls, three triplets, Emmy, Giselle, and Claire. And the first book takes place on their 8th founding day. And here they are. And each one of the triplets has a tiny animal that's sort of like their spirit animal. Emmy has a bear cub called Claw. Giselle has a wolf pup called Fluffy. And Claire has an eaglet called Soar. And this is what I think Fluffy looks like. In a tree house, and when I was talking to my kids about this, my kids are grown, but when they were little, the thing they wanted more than anything else was a slide from their bedrooms down to the kitchen in our house. And wouldn't you know it, down to the kitchen in our house, and wouldn't you know it, the triplets in the Trillium Sisters have just such a slide. This book is fun. I had a great time with it, and we're really excited to introduce Laura and Ellie today to talk about the Trillium Sisters.
Thank you so much. This is a dream come true, and your intro was no exception. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for the intro, and you did a great job introducing the property. Laura and I are just so excited to be here. It really is a dream come true, and as you described in our bios, Laura and I have had the honor and the pleasure of working together for a long time. I was at Nickelodeon for many years and had the pleasure of working with Laura over that time. And as we like to say, our collaboration on the Trillium Sisters in particular started off where a lot of good conversations start, which was the ladies' room. We were at a writing summit together in Toronto for the show Corn and Peg that you mentioned. And Laura and I were talking about how we've always had this itch that we wanted to scratch and we really wanted to write. And so we pitched some ideas for this show, and that morphed into us writing 4 scripts together. And then when I left Nickelodeon, we decided to continue our adventure together and partner and create something. And that ended up being the Trillium Sisters.
Hi, I'm Laura, everybody. And I just want to say thank you for that great introduction, Angie. And that was my fantasy too, to have that slide. So I guess maybe it's a universal fantasy. And also to live in a treehouse, and that continues to be my fantasy. But let me just tell you a little bit about where the book inspiration came from. So we were writing scripts together, which was so much fun. And I went on a ski trip to Colorado with my family. I am the worst skier in my family, so they had gone off to a more difficult run, and I was doing one of those gentle runs down the mountain. And I came to this stand of Douglas firs, and it was just so beautiful. I stopped and I started to sort of daydream about what was beyond that stand of Douglas firs. I mean, what would it be like to live there? How would you live if you were that ensconced in nature? And doesn't every child have a chance to sort of imagine what that would be like? And wouldn't that be great? And I couldn't get the idea out of my head. And so I came home and I told Ellie, because we'd been brainstorming ideas, and she was into it. Right, Ellie?
super into it. And I like to say that Laura is the nature lover and I am the city lover. And so Laura came and pitched this idea with this, magical, incredible setting. And then we started thinking about who would be in the book. And while I don't know how to ski, I do have a sister, and I always want to tell stories around sisters, because sisters, we are magical in our own way. And Laura loved that idea. And so we had the setting, and then we had the characters, and that was really how our magical sisters came about.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about the books. I think Ellie's going to throw up the covers there so you can get a better look at them. So just, there they are. We love these covers so much. So in the first book, it is, as Angie was saying, their 8th founding day, which is the anniversary of the day that their dad has found them as babies on the mountain, each with the minimal, which is the baby pets that they have by their side. And they also have they each have a charm from the Trillium flower. So Trillium has 3 petals and they each have a charm. And they're getting dinner together to celebrate founding day, and their little brother falls into the mountain river, which is very rough, and he's in danger of being swept away. And all of a sudden the charms combine into a glowing Trillium flower, and it gives them magical powers. They transform, and their little baby animals shoot up into big, strong, what we call maximals, and they're able to save him. They don't know where this magic came from or what it's for, but they do know that they've been given a very important gift. The mystery of their magical charms and what it's meant for is picked up again in book 2. You can see Trillium Sisters Bestie Day. So Bestie Day is the day when you celebrate your bestie, when you celebrate the people who mean a lot to you. And the girls have decided that they're going to give each other gifts made from fallen flower petals from the flower field, because they don't want to harm nature. They're just going to take what already has fallen off the flower. But they get to the field, and there's 2 girls they know from town who are cutting every flower in sight. They are really decimating this gorgeous field. And not only that, it's affecting the bees, because the bees can't get the nectar they need. So they realize that there's sort of an ecosystem problem that's starting to happen on the mountain. And lo and behold, the charms power up, and they're granted their magic again, and they're able to deal with the girls who are creating this problem and also save the bees. The third book, which you can't see here, and Ellie, you can take that down now if you want to. The third book, we delve more into the dynamics between the sisters, because it's hard. It's hard to develop your own individuality and still be part of a team of girls. And that's what we go into. I won't say that much about the third book because it's not really launching yet, but that's the idea with the third book.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to Bethany and Pixel and Ink, who has been just our champion, our leader in every way. I mean, Laura and I both come from TV backgrounds, and it's been so enlightening and such a learning process for us to write a book. It's, if we haven't said enough, it's been a dream to come true. But Bethany, you have been our dream. So we can't thank you enough for all of your help. And, Laura and I have talked a lot about, like, we couldn't have written a better script for ourselves, and just our love of books. And, I was always the kid that when people said, what do you love to play? I said, I love to read. And that still, holds true today. And I know, Laura, you have just wonderful memories with your kids. We've talked often about, you taking them to bookstores and what that means to you and your family.
Yeah, I have to say that in our town in northern New Jersey, there were 2 independent bookstores, one for adults, although there was a kids section, and one which was just for children. And unfortunately, they are both no longer there. But I have such incredible memories because, those booksellers knew us so well, and we'd walk in and they'd know what to recommend. And my kids would have their birthday parties at the bookstore, and there were pajama nights. And so we're just so incredibly grateful to this community of independent booksellers, and want to support them in any way that we can.
We appreciate you too. We have time for one quick question. This is for Laura. How did your background influence this series?
Well, I think the benefit of my background for anything that I do with kids is I have sat with so many kids, thousands and thousands of kids, because we do research on all the TV shows. So I sort of have in my head an idea of what's going to appeal, what they're dealing with. And I should also say that Ellie has a master's degree in developmental psychology also. So we both sort of have that background. And we both went to the same graduate school. That's an interesting little fact. But anyway, the story always comes first. If you don't tell a good story with compelling characters and with action that's going to hook kids, it doesn't matter what you're trying to teach. But there is a way to weave in organic messages into a story, which all good authors know. It's not, because I have that background, but I'm trying to do both as I'm writing the story. That's what I would say. Really understand who my audience is and really find an organic message that fits with the characters and the world that we're building. So it just feels like part of what we're telling.
We can't wait for them to come out in June. Thank you,
Thank
Laura.
you.
Thank you, Ellie, for being here.